So things we do for terrible cars. One of the coolest things to come out of my first interviews with VINwiki in 2018 was that we found the Mondeo that we rented on a Cannonball Run Europe. So we raced Rob in his GT2, and Dido ran over a bunch of cones, ripped the oil filter out, seized the motor. The French police took it away. VINwiki community helped me find the car, and I own the car now, which is pretty damn amazing. My story comes out last year, I believe it was June of 2018. So a car in the UK that has the license plate stays with that particular car for the rest of its life. Somebody ran the tag of the car, and the day after my YouTube video premiere, somebody found the car on eBay. One of VINwiki's fans finds it and posts it up. Hey, I found the car. And I'm like, this can't be the car. And I'm looking at it, it is the car. And we thought we killed this car 15 years ago. I feel bad for all the stuff that we did to this car, you know? And I'm like, I have to buy this car. So I got an email from this guy named Aaron. He lives about 20 miles away from the dealership that was selling it. He's like, look, I'm just learning about Mischief. I'm a big VINwiki fan. I want to be a part of the story. I can go look at the car for you and buy the car for you. I'm like, do it. I'm not even thinking about how I'm going to register the car in the United States. So he goes over and talks to the guy, and we get the car for like 300 bucks. The car was actually worth more heading to the scrapyard. So, and the car runs, it had 3 owners. So lived a good life. I'm buying a $300 movie car. The guy brings it to his house. He's looking over and he says, it's not bad shape. It needs new tires. The bottom of the doors are rusted. I don't care. It tries. I want this car. And then doing research, you had to import a car at least 25 years old in the United States. But Canada is 15 years. So, okay, I'm going to ship to Canada, get legalized. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. My whole goal was to get this car into the United States. I just want to drive in the States. I got in contact with Craig from Bonsai Rides, and he legalizes JDM cars in Canada. I find out from Aaron the Mondeo is not exactly 15 years old yet. It would turn 15 in 2 weeks. So I figured, okay, on the boat, it'll turn 15 years old right before it gets to the port. See, all these synchronicities lined up. I had to get this car. How does a car show up on eBay after I do the story 15 years later? And the owner had no idea what Mischief was. And then the car turns 15 years old right before it gets to Canada. Put on a train, goes to Bonsai Rides, he legalizes it. The only problem is I need to find a Canadian to register the car. This guy, Rob, is a fan of Mischief 15 years. Rob will want this car. Rob picks up the car in December of 2018, brings it to his house. Unfortunately, it had emission issues. He's from Ottawa. Ottawa is getting rid of emission laws. We had to wait until April. So, okay, fine. I'll just have to wait a couple more months in April. I want to have him register the car, and I want this car in the United States. I wanted to wrap it. I did want to have the Cannonball Run stickers on the car, but did find a wrap, like the European UK police reflective wrap, because they used to do that for the older Mondeos. That was what I wanted to do. There was an event called H2O, and everybody's, well, most people are familiar with H2O. It's a VW Audi show. That's right outside of Ocean City, Maryland. Everybody that comes to the show just destroys this town of Ocean City. It's just total chaos. So the people come here, they do burnouts, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff, drive the town folk crazy. The H2O crowd, that is pretty much Mischief. You know, it's like the old school Mischief. The H2O got forced out, and their show is now in Atlantic City. And last year was the first year, but all the people that usually come down to the show in Ocean City, all those people still came up and tore up the town. I want to be able to drive the Mondeo during H2O in 2019 because that's just the kind of scene, you know? It used to be like the Volkswagen crowd, then it got into the stance crowd, you know, the camera like this. And then it got into everything. It was literally every type of car. It would fit in that community. Then the mayor actually brings more police there. But there's larger police present for us. And the more you say we don't want this in our city, the more people come. And it is totally Mischief. I've been waiting for the car to go through inspection and need new tires. And then right before I flew out there to pick it up, the clutch went. And we had to buy a clutch off UK's eBay. And we went through 3 different clutches. I kept on delaying my flight. I'm running out of time before H2O to get this car wrapped. So in August, I fly out there and I reunite with the Mondeo, which was glorious. So I go there and pick the car up, and it's funny because if anybody drives right-hand drive, of course you keep on getting into the wrong side of the car, and the seatbelt, everything's all mixed up. So I'm driving around, you know, learning how to drive on this side of the car with the manual. The first night we go to Montreal before I start my trip back into DC, and I'm getting messages throughout my trip of what border crossings to avoid, because over the years people legalize 15-year-old JDM cars, Skylines and stuff. They drive them across the border right? And once they get into the US, they never return to Canada. So they're very strict about that type of stuff. I wasn't actually going to keep it this time. I just wanted to borrow it, go down there, wrap it, do a couple events, and I have to return the car back to Rob. It sounded good in my mind. I was told to go across the Vermont entrance. It's not like I can do a bunch of them because once you go through, they flag you. So I go through the Vermont entrance. I said, hi. Of course, it's awkward because I'm on this side of the car and the booth's over there. And the guy's looking at us like, yeah, I'm borrowing my friend's car. I have a couple days to kill. I'm just going to drive it to New York City and back. That does not sound like a real story. You know, it's like, sir, you can't be an American driving a Canadian car across the border. Oh, are you trying to drift this? Because they see the right-hand drive. I'm like, oh God, it's this. Ugh, I'm not going to get this car across the border. So he told me to pull to the side. They searched the car. And they said, we can't bring this in. You have to go back to Canada. So technically, I did kind of get into the United States. I go up to the Canadian border, real nice lady. So what are you doing here? Now I have to explain why I have this car. So how long have you known this guy? About 12 years, but I just met him on Friday, which I shouldn't have said. So let me get this straight. You met this guy on the internet, hung out one night with him, and now you're trying to take the car in the United States. I'm like, yeah, get out of the car. Searching the whole car again. I'm like, okay, this is a nightmare. I make it across the border. I'm 3 hours away from Rob's house. There's no AC, so I have the windows down. I'm physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted. About this point, I probably put $6 grand into a $300 car. I actually scheduled a flight out. I told Rob, I'll be at your house at 11 p.m. Right before I got to his house, I needed one more thing before I went to his house. So I saw that there's a Walmart on my Waze app past his house. So I wasn't paying attention. This Walmart was in the US. So I got gas, I went over this bridge, and there was like nobody around. And I see, welcome to the United States. I'm in the US. I crossed the bridge into the country. There's no turning back. I look like hell. I'm just like, you know, my hair's like this, and I look drunk. Of course, I got to talk to the border guard like this. And I like, is there any way I can turn around? I accidentally went this way. I was heading to my friend's house. Sorry, you're in the States, get out of the car. I pulled the car over, they're searching the car. I'm out of the car, and they're searching me. My story doesn't make any sense. So like, look, you can't come to the United States. I was like, I'm sorry. I got in the car. So all I gotta do is cross the border in Canada and I'm home free. I go there, pull up. The guy's asking me, what are you doing here? I sounded drunk. He's like, are you drunk, sir? Pull over. I'm like, fine, I'm gonna pull over. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get this story straight. This is not good. So I go in there and there's nobody in there except me and this young border guard. In my face, what are you doing here? This doesn't make any sense. You're lying to me. I had no response. I was so tired, right? All he wanted me to say is that I was gonna go across the border with this car and keep it in the United States. This is the hardest interrogation ever in my entire life. I need to see your phone. I gave him my phone. I told everybody before I bought this car that I'm not going to say anything about getting the Mondeo until after I crossed the border. I was just kidding though, but I didn't want any of the border guards looking at my social media. However, when I got denied the crossing, I made a post about getting denied, and there's a picture of me and the Mondeo, my old friend. So the cop goes onto my phone on Facebook. Your old friend, what is this about? I was like, do you want to know the whole story? The whole story. He's like, yeah, I want to know the whole story. My ADHD kicked in. For 90 minutes talking, I told him everything. I told him why I had the Mondeo. I told him about Cannonball Run. Then I had to explain to him what Cannonball Run was. I had to explain to him what Mischief was. I went on VINwiki. What is VINwiki? I explained VINwiki. I just talked nonstop for 90 minutes while he took notes. If I wasn't allowed back into Canada, I would have to turn around and be driven or walk back to the US border. And then I'm out of luck, because it's all farmland. We're above New York State. The car would stay at the border. The owner would have to come and pick it up. I didn't want to be stuck in the cornfields. You know, I have a flight to catch. So I even told him, hey, look, I have a flight to catch. Here's my flight information. Oh, you probably just did that in case you got caught. I told him, look at my Waze app. You can see all the addresses I went to, and everything I said was right there. He thought that I was going to take the car and basically keep the car and register it. He didn't know about the 25-year law. So I schooled him on that. So he started changing his attitude, and I knew I was kind of wearing him down now because of my ADHD. And I was just like constantly in his face. And then he said, so if I look at these pictures, and if, you know, there's no kiddie porn on your phone, right? And I knew I had him right there. He had nothing to go on. I talked my way back in the can. He said, you can go now. I shook his hand. I said, here's my VINwiki stories. I want you to check it out, because he took so many notes. It was about making money off YouTube. That's all he wanted to know. He shook my hand and he let me go. Got to the airport, left the car there. So I thought that was kind of the end of the story. It wasn't. I was just relieved I was able to get the car back and it wasn't confiscated. H2O happened at the end of September. Rob called me up and he said, I am going to drive the car to you. That the event is not H2O anymore, but that's what we just call it, H2O weekend. It gets kind of confusing. Rob Drove the car across the border, no problems. Met me in my hotel. It leaks oil. The engine's about to go, but it was able to make it to Ocean City and back, which was 1,100 miles. These guys from Canada, they've always seen H2O through our Mischief videos and how crazy it was. They wanted to see it in real life, and they saw it at the peak of the craziness. I go and reunite the car. And then we're watching burnouts on this one street. So I take them, we go, and it's like, here we go. This is H2O. It's a small street because it's like the main highway and then a couple blocks and it's the beach. So there's everybody in all the hotels on the balconies yelling. This one guy's doing a burnout, so I'm following him. And then there's a cop comes around the corner. So everybody's screaming, the guy's backing up. And they're just walking into this. They're like, what the hell's going on? So everybody's following the car, backing up. And so we're filming the car backing up, and the 2 cops come from the main road, block him. Everybody's just screaming. That was the H2O experience in the first 5 minutes. They're like, this is the best thing ever. The police have this riot spray. And we've seen it before. They spray on the street. They want everybody on the sidewalks. We understand. I'm behind a parked car on the sidewalk, and this cop comes up behind me and sprays my back of my legs as he walks through off the curb. So now I'm smelling like it's a combination of like manure and horse piss when that all was happening. I didn't care about being sprayed because you can't be mad because that's, if you get hit by a car sitting on the street and if somebody's doing donuts, it's your own damn fault. We knew what we were getting into. That whole weekend, it was just like old school Mischief. And I'm really glad our fans that came down from Canada were able to experience that. So we got the car in the US during H2O weekend. I got to drive it around. So my goal was to get the car in the US, and we met that goal. It's about 13:30. 1:30. We're taking the Mondeo to a right-hand drive car meet. I want to thank the VINwiki community and Mischief fans for coming together to help me reunite with this piece of crap. I love this car. It's back in Canada, and I don't know what we're going to do with it now. We'll see what happens. If it blows up, I think that might be the end of it. I don't know. While I was driving the car, I actually made my peace with it. I apologize for the way we treated it, but then I reminded it that I saved it from being scrapped. So we're even.
We'd like to thank Avalon King for their continued support of the VINwiki YouTube channel. Obviously, I've installed it onto my Porsche 993, which one of our app users is going to win once we hit 1 million subscribers. I've got it on the LP640, and it's performed flawlessly in both cases. The cars are much easier to clean, the finish looks a lot better, and I've really been impressed with it. So we're going to do some more experimentation with the ceramic coating this month, but please do check out the link in the description below, enter the code VINwiki for a discount, and thank them for supporting your favorite YouTube channel.